This afternoon, we have the great opportunity to welcome Chef Ahmad Zahid Isnin. Shh. The chef Ahmad is a man of many contradictions. He is a death metal musician with a communication degrees, a bartender, shh, please, who doesn't drink, a Malay member of Chinese lion troupe, and a biryani maestro who spurned mainstream adulation. All the three aspects, he says, have something in common, bringing people together. As a self-taught guitarist who has played in several bands, such as Impiti and Tantra, makes no apologies for leaking what some of the music has said no appropriate, because it's violence, because of nihilist lyrics. Joining a Lions dance troupe was a childhood dream. He once realized in 2011 when he was 33. And he said, very interesting, some said I've lost my mind, others said I've joined a Chinese gang, some said I'm no longer a Muslim. Mr. Zahid, who performed the Huma, an Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca 6 years ago. Again, how is it possible to bring people together? For those in the know, Mr. Zahid is the founder of the global Mat Soul Kitchen. Shh. A private Instagram account which peddles occasionally in limited quantity that has been described as the best biryani on the island. To savor his specialty, one he has to follow his account, find out when he is cooking, and send an order via WhatsApp. Ordering is on first come, first serve. He said, no matter how much money you have, you can get to the head of the queue, says Mr. Zahid, who sees his operation as a social levers. If successful, one has to wait for pickup instruction and make a trip with the exact change to avoid deck his hood. He said, some of these people have never been to a neighborhood like that. It's my way of breaking barriers with food, said the chef, who started the global Mat Soul Kitchen 4 years ago. He just said to me that he was a bit shy, actually, to come on stage with this kind of audience, because for the very first time, he's going to have the possibility to address this audience. So I want to make sure that we have a very warm welcome to the chef Ahmad Zahid.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me here today. It is a pleasure and a privilege for me to stand before you in the hallowed halls of ESSEC Business School this evening. My name is Zahid. I'm local Malay Singaporean. I'm Muslim. I'm in my 40s. And I am here today to talk to you about Global Mat Soul Kitchen, which is a personal project of mine. It started off as me cooking food at home to share with friends. And then the word grew, and it grew, and it grew. This was when social media was still, I think, kind of in its ascendancy, when it was still growing. So I was very lucky to have been part of that wave. So, what does black metal, Scandinavian black metal, professional wrestling, ECW, dragon dance and Chinese cultural arts, Renaissance art, and Malay food, Muslim food, biryani, have in common? If your eyes are closed and your minds are closed, this has nothing to do with anything else. Everything is separate and distant. But this is Imagination Week. We are in Imagination Week, are we not? So you have to open your minds, you have to use your imagination, and you have to see that it can be connected. So if you are a normal mainstream guy, this has nothing to do with anything. But if you are Global Mat Soul Kitchen, which is my project, GMSK, 2 knives, a snake eating itself, then everything is connected. You just have to use your imagination. The talk today is the magic in the mundane. All these things are mundane. Food, kind of mundane. Music, kind of mundane. Art, unless you take it seriously, it can be mundane. But there is magic in everything, and you need to see where it's all connected. Then you can make it magical. This is my Instagram account. It is a private account, 14,500 followers, which is not a lot, but considering that it's private, and I don't really look at it, and I don't really accept follow requests, it's okay. So there's, if you can see the bio, it says, the naughtiest brown boy alive, that's me, refuses to be subjugated by religious crazies. So here we go again. And casties can't fuck off. Why? I am from a very, very rough neighborhood. I think a lot of you are French, yeah? Are from France, right? Marseille, like rough. Zinedine Zidane, Marseille, right? The kind where people are playing football and in the background people are getting arrested for drugs. Same neighborhood, that kind of neighborhood, right? So a lot of you have not been to such a neighborhood, maybe in your home country, let alone in Singapore. Singapore isn't just Marina Bay Sands. Singapore just isn't shops by the bay. It isn't Ion Orchard. There's more to Singapore than all those tourist destinations. There's a very colorful, a very visceral part of Singapore that you need to go and see. And if you have the chance, follow my account, order the food, and I'll see you where I live. Why black metal? What you're seeing here is an album cover of a band called Emperor from Norway. Now, if you look at the artwork, right, it's all pomp and pageantry, a lot of color, a lot of detail, a lot of symbolism. It is also known for being a bit violent. This is a newspaper headline where the gentleman on the left killed the gentleman on the right, and they're both in the same band. Right? So who needs enemies like this, right? Who needs enemies if you have friends like this? So, why do I use black metal as a reference point in my food? It is something that I grew up with. Black metal from this part of the world, right, is something that is kind of elitist, but in a way it's for people. It does things its own way, and I do things my own way. So that's kind of reflects where I'm headed with this project. The second part of how I do my project right is this. How many of you know who this gentleman is? He's a professional wrestler. Do you know professional wrestler, yeah? Professional wrestling. WWE, AEW, ECW. So this guy is Randy the Macho Man Savage. He's dead. He's long gone. But what he did, right, he is a master in the art of the promo, where you stand in front of a camera and you take on the persona of your character and you stay in character and you talk and you find a voice. Because everyone is a wrestler. How do you find your voice in a room full of people where they're also trying to find a voice? So I found my voice by following people like him. This is one of the posts where I sell my food. So you have tonight, 15 December, right? That's where I'm going to sell it, and what I'm selling, and the artwork. But this is where I differ from how people sell food. People sell food. Oh, I sell this, I sell this, I sell this. For me, I speak as though I'm a wrestler and I'm facing the camera, I'm facing you, and I'm staying in character. So this is my voice. The world, through the eyes of those who have never suffered ignominy, injustice, and oppression, is tinted with a gentle touch of pastel pink and littered with confetti, muffins, onde cake, and the rainbow-colored defecation of imaginary horned steeds. The ground blooms flowers out of his terran rectum, while cute Disney birds chirp and a gentle breeze blows while you hold the perfect yoga pose in $300 stretchy tops that do no justice to the slave-like labor that pushes it out of its capitalist raped womb, and some magical disembodied hand takes the perfect picture for you to blast to all of your 800 followers on social media. As you can probably tell, I do not like influencers. So this is my voice. I can just say, I'm going to sell something at this price, so and so. But when you take on the character and you embody your project and you use your voice in order to be different, it stands out. I will stand out. You will stand out from the crowd because you have found your voice. And I urge you, use your imagination, use your voice. Find your voice and use it well. Lion dance. This is me with my lion dance troops. And as you can see, all of them are Chinese. And I'm the only brown person. Again, this is after we've won a competition in Indonesia. So one brown guy, Chinese. Now, I believe I believe about breaking barriers. Me being here is a barrier that's broken already. I should not be here standing before you. I know all of you come from very comfortable backgrounds. I'm from the hood, man. I'm from the hood. I have no business being here through the grace of God, through Tamara's generosity, through Professor Javier's generosity, I am here. But I do believe, right, that all I've done so far in the course of my life, running this project, doing it as a barrier-breaking project, as a barrier-breaking endeavor, has led me to this place. And me being part of this line dance troupe is in itself something that breaks barriers. I'm not sure if you understand how culture works in Singapore. We have Chinese, we have Malay, Chinese majority, Malay minority, and Indian and other races. Now, the Chinese culture in Singapore is such that you have your normal working people, and then you have a very strong Chinese heartland gang culture. And it's like gangs, like secret societies, right? Lion dance is very closely linked to secret societies. And me, being in a lion dance troupe and not being a secret society member, not being a gang member, it's itself a barrier that's very hard to break through. I have no idea why they will want to accept me. But again, that's where being brave and stepping out of your comfort zone and asking the right questions and going to the right people and knocking the right doors and being humble and being polite and being open, using your imagination to get to places where you would never have thought to have been. That's why I'm in a lion dance troupe, and I bring that into my project because it's all about breaking barriers and bringing people together. Again, this is competition day. So dragon dance competition, brown guy, Chinese guy, and it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Race is just a social construct. Now, Renaissance art. I use Renaissance art in my project because it kind of confuses people. Renaissance art is something that is used for classy things, right? No. Art is how you approach it, how you interpret it, and just because something is, supposedly high class or high art, I don't think it should be the domain of the upper classes or the elite. It can be appropriated, it can be used by anyone and everyone. So this is how I approach it. Using art, using fonts. This is doing chicken biryani and it's an angel falling. It has nothing to do with each other, right? But it can work, it can work. It's a matter of using your imagination and finding the things that can come together. Okay, so this is for mutton. Mutton is goat meat, right? So I use this piece of art, which is, a child whispering to a goat. Again, a little bit evil, a little bit on edge. But again, it's a mixture of high art and low art. Another example of how I use Renaissance art in my projects. And food. So later on, what you're going to be having, right, is food, Malay food, Malay Muslim food. The problem with Malay Muslim food in Singapore is that it is always deemed as unhealthy, as low class, right? And I have a problem with that. I think it's a very elitist thing for people to say that Malay food is low class and unhealthy. And I want to break barriers by using this as a project, using this project to elevate Malay food, Muslim food, biryani, to the point where it can be accepted not just in Singapore, but around the world. All right, to the point where I think 5 years ago, I was invited to hit a restaurant in Germany, 5-star restaurant, 5-star hotel, and I headed the restaurant for 3 weeks where I ran a menu. And all this was presented to the German crowd. This is Malay food, potato croquettes with green chili paste, chicken and potato soup presented, to a restaurant crowd. Lamb chops done with satay sauce. Satay is Indonesian grilled meat with skewers and spices, and I've changed it up so that it's, how do I say it? It breaks the barriers of Malay food just being low. It can transcend itself. Same here. So, what's next then? I've begun to branch out to do other things. I began to bottle my own sauces, and it's been received pretty well. There you go. I think Tamara has ordered a few, so you're going to get some?
I'm sorry.
Right, and well, that's pretty much it. So, one last thing that I want to talk about is we are looking at, the theme is 2050 and beyond, right? What are the challenges that I will face in the coming years? I'm a one-man project, so that means as long as I have my hands and my health, I'm ready to go. But as far as this project is concerned, I've always feared that social media anxiety, right, will be a thing that affects me. Or if I say something on my social media that is offensive, I will get cancelled. People don't like black metal, I get cancelled. People don't like me saying things about race, I get cancelled. So that's a worry that I feel. But I don't think we should have to worry about that. Approach social media as a tool to help you, not to hinder you. And as far as people have also asked me, do I consider myself a success? But what is success really? I think for all of you, success is having a good job, having a nice apartment, a nice car, a family and all that, right? But I think success is different things to different people. Do I think that I am a success just cooking at home, selling it to people via Instagram account? Maybe. Let's have a case in point. Vincent van Gogh. How many of you know Vincent van Gogh? Right? Famous Dutch artist, cut off his ears, right? The story with him is he's got a history of mental illness all his life. And the majority of his works was done in the last 2 years of his life. But he died a penniless, broken man. He died with no money, nothing to his name. Was he successful or not? He was successful. Because all his artwork that became famous was created during his life, but he died a broken man, and people said he was a failure. But in actuality, he has always been a success. So don't fret if you think that you're not successful now. Don't worry about that. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Like I keep on what I'm doing. Things will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So the purpose of this afternoon is also to eat and to try what you've prepared for us, right?
Yes, right.
Could you just tell us a bit more about what we're gonna experience outside?
Okay, you might think, I think you've heard that you are all going to getting some kind of food, right? Unfortunately, you're not getting biryani today. If you want the biryani that we are talking about, you have to follow the Instagram account, right? Wait for me to accept your request, and then come to my neighborhood, to my ghetto neighborhood, and get the food. What is available outside is I think there's some vegetarians and vegans here, right? So there's a chicken option and there's a vegan option. You're going to get rendang, which is like a Indonesian stew with gravy and chicken. That's done both ways, with a vegan option and a chicken option. And then you have some chili paste. What else we got? Vegan pilaf rice and, let me see, a pineapple pickle. I think some of you, I think one of you cannot take exotic fruit. No? I don't know how exotic pineapple is, but it's a sweet and sour pineapple pickle that is included in the rice. So I urge you, go out there, enjoy yourself. All the packs with the purple tag are vegan, vegetarian. There's 15 of you, and the rest are all chicken. So have at it.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you. Of course, we're gonna interact with you outside, but maybe some of you want to ask a question before we're gonna. Oh yes.
Always this one. I knew it.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to know where your interest in Renaissance art and in rock metal came from.
Oh, I got a mic. Black metal has always used Renaissance art in its presentation, album covers, t-shirt designs, because it's harkens back to a time when it's not modern, right? I myself, when I was a kid, even though I came from a shit neighborhood and a shit background, right? I think my father was from the British Army, and he instilled in me a sense of being artistic. So it was always reading National Geographic, always looking at documentaries, always looking at, modern dance. I was an 8-year-old kid, I was looking at modern dance and looking at like Renaissance art, and like, what the hell is this? But it made sense as I was growing up. Then, okay, I incorporated that into this project. Okay, thank you.
Yes, please.
Sorry. Do you agree with the idea that when your hobby becomes your work, you less enjoy it?
Of course.
Of course, yes or not?
Of course, okay. There's a very fine line between enjoying what you do, right, and then to the point where it becomes work. I'll be very honest with you. I have technically been unemployed for the last 6 years. When I left my job at Coriander Leaf, which was the last restaurant that I worked in, I was supposed to go to Germany to head up the restaurant for a few weeks. They didn't want to let me go, so what do? I quit. I quit my job, and ever since, after I came back from Germany, I've not worked a day in my life. What I've done is work several things. They are all side hustles. You know what's my main hustle? My main hustle is my life. Your life is your main hustle. Okay, do not let your job become your identity. As in, if you're a banker, don't let that be your identity. What's your name?
Candice. Candice.
Collis?
Candice. Candice.
Candice.
Wait.
Candice. Okay. Candice. Candice is Candice. If you are going to be Candice, the banker Candice or the philosopher Candice, or that's a different part of you. Don't let that line cross. Don't let the line cross. Always maintain who you are. What you do is not who you are. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, please. Could you? Merci.
Can you tell us a bit about your upbringing and your neighborhood?
Upbringing neighborhood. Okay. My dad was former British Army. My mom was a housewife. Single income family. In Singapore, single income family is a bad thing because you need both parents to work. But what it did help was, because I was in a shit neighborhood, a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of gangs.
Which neighborhood is it?
Aljunied Crescent. It is located in Kallang. Nearest MRT is Aljunied. So, you? Oh, you? Sorry? Kembangan is nice. Kembangan is like Beverly Hills. What are you talking about? Kembangan is Beverly Hills. Kembangan is nice. Sorry? Geylang, yes, it's Geylang. So Geylang, you know, is red light district and rough, right? So this is like residential Geylang, but it's still rough. It's still rough. So I stayed in that neighborhood, right? What was good was that because my mom was a housewife, she was able to take a look at me, to look over me and make sure that I didn't get into the bad shit, which was great. So I had, even though money was tight, right, there was always art. There was always, at 8 years old, I was listening to stuff by Spyro Gyra, which is fusion jazz, Cassiopeia, Gypsy Kings. So even though we were short on money, right, I think I was very lucky in the sense that my home was always artistic. There was animal documentaries, National Geographic to read. What else? Reader's Digest. It was all about not being typical, not being a statistic. Just because you are from a shit neighborhood doesn't mean you have to turn out shit, right? So I got lucky. I stayed in school, went to school, got my degree in media studies, and I ended up being a chef at home. So yeah, different paths lead to.
Were you ever invited to again?
Sorry?
Were you ever invited to join again?
Plenty of times. Plenty of times. Even at this age, I'm 40-something, right? And I still get invitation to, would you like to join our gang? And it's not like, hey, would you like to join our gang? No, it's like, what's up, man? How you doing, man? No, it's very low-key. Like, hey, we want to have some drinks. You want to come join us? Like,
please.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
We have a question here. Yes, please.
Yes, how did you learn to cook?
How did I learn to cook?
Yes.
Okay, how did I learn to cook? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? When situations arise, you have to handle situations. I was in university just like you in Melbourne. I was in RMIT. There was 2006, 2007, right? A long time ago, all right? So one day, I had a really bad day in lecture, so you wanted to have lunch outside. Went to have lunch outside. Went to the counter, all very expectant, I'm going to have good food, right? And then the guy says, oh, we are out of biryani, right? Come back at 6 o'clock. So I said, okay, no problem. So I went away, right? And I came back at 5:45, only to be told, I'm sorry, man, we had a discussion and we don't think it's worth it to cook a fresh batch just for you. It's at that point then which I decided that never again will I have to be, I don't have to be at someone's mercy. If I want to get something, if I want to eat something, I'll learn how to cook it and I'll learn how to do it right. And I won't ever have to depend on anyone to give me something that I want. Autonomy.
I like it.
Right.
There is another question here. Yeah.
You said you were very interested in art, but as a chef, do you consider yourself as an artist when you're kind of doing other kind of cuisine?
Okay, I know a lot of chefs like to think of themselves as a plate is a blank canvas and I am an artist and I paint with spices and I paint with sauces and I color my world with greens and reds and blues and whatever, right? I am not so, how do I say this? I'm not so ambitious. I simply think of food as, food can be artistic. It can. Those Michelin stars chefs, right? I'm sure they treat it as an art. For me, food is a life mission. And I think life mission trumps art any day. With food, right, with my project, right, I don't care. I've had TV stars, movie stars, politicians, I don't like them. Politicians try to come and get my food and use like, hey, anyway, we want to have it on so day, right? And I tell them like, no way, I'll cook when I want to. You cannot tell me what to do. It's a great leveler. I'll do what I can. You come meet me on my terms, right? So I see my food as being that equalizer. It doesn't matter how famous you are, how much money you've got, what you work as. You all have to come to my void deck and wait. You all have to say hello. You all have to say please. You all have to say thank you. You have to be polite to me, and I will be polite to you. Because there are some people who come and they go like, in the message, when are you cooking? I have no idea who you are. I've never spoken to you. No hello? No introduction? Where's your manners, man? So I see this project not just as selling food. It's also like reminding ourselves that we can be bigger, we can be better. We can have manners, we can be polite. I think a lot of people have lost the art of the conversation where you just go and talk to strangers and say, hey, what's going on? In Singapore, it's all very like, I don't want to talk to strangers because I'm scared. Because what, scared of rejection, maybe? You cannot connect. But I personally like to go there and talk to people. If not, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys, right? Stepping out my comfort zone. I'm truly uncomfortable right now, by the way. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, right here.
You again?
No?
Oh.
Could you say that, just before, could you say that you are able, and are one of the very rare chefs on earth that you select your client? Because actually, you have to knock at your door to be open, actually.
Figuratively, you have to knock at the door of Instagram for me to accept your request. Which
is the only chef in the world that he could do that, because the door is always open at every single restaurant.
Maybe. It's just that, to tell the truth, I've lost control of my social media. I don't look at it some people look at their social media and go like, how many followers have I got today? Oh, follow. I'm like, whatever. If I look at it, I look at it. If I don't, I don't. If I see your request, like you put in a request just before, right? So request accepted it, yeah.
But my point is a bit further than that. It's more about when you select your clients, you select as well as your own community, meaning that who, according to you, have the same value to be your clients. You know what I mean?
Ooh, tricky. I am not going to be the arbiter and say that I will only serve people who are of the same value as me. It's a random thing. It's random. It's really random. I know of a lot of my clients, a lot of my customers, my really, really best customers are Christians, like really, really strong evangelical Christians, and they don't like my black metal vibe. They don't like it. However, what they do is they tolerate it, because if they don't get food. Simple as that, right? They tolerate it. So it's a case of, if I was to just serve people who are like me, what's the point? You have to step out of your comfort zone and be a little bit uncomfortable in addressing and being with people who are not like you, who may even hate you. I'm sure some people don't like how I do business, right? But they are forced to tolerate me and say hello and say please and say thank you just to get the food. And I think if I can get them to do that, I've won. This is a victory for me. I'm good. I don't choose my customers. That shouldn't be the case. Because if I'm choosing my customers, then it's exactly the same elitist bullshit that I'm trying to, destroy.
Last question, and then we're gonna get the food.
Have you achieved to inspire people in your neighborhood to launch such actions or of the same kind?
I think my local member of parliament has just gotten in touch with me 2 days ago. I'm not sure why. We will speak on that later. I'm going to speak to her about that later. But as far as inspiring people, I know of one neighbor a girl who lives above me, right? She says, the stories can be inspiring. And she agrees that just because we come from a shit neighborhood and we live in shit places, right, we don't have to be ashamed of it. We can use it as a badge of honor. If we can transcend this, we're good. So what she's done is she's got a financial education. So now she's like a big-time stockbroker, and she's making a lot more money than I can imagine. So good for her. I see her once in a while. She drives a really nice car and still lives in a shit place. So that's great. And
Thank you very much.